Oh god, I just watched this episode and it is quite the tearjerker. Like, wow. We are about to talk about this emotional roller coaster right now. Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Pop Culture Vortex. I am your host, Alex Pinto, and wow, I have just watched the latest episode of The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 6. Yes, this is the penultimate episode for this season, as we only have one more episode to go, and wow. So, I'm still processing this episode. It was so fucking good. All right, let's just dive into it. Of course, last episode they ended off with the cliffhanger of us seeing Joel again ever since his death in episode 2. Episode 2, yes, it was episode 2 where he dies. So it was the first time we were seeing him since that episode. As obviously set in the past because anything after the golfing trip, it ain't happening anymore. But anyway, so initially, I thought they were just going to continue off of that scene. We're just going to get that extension of that scene, and that's how they're going to open up this episode. But no, they opened it up pretty interestingly. Instead, we actually get a flashback, of Joel and Tommy when they were kids. Now, the impression I get is that I believe Tommy was dealing drugs or whatever. And Joel wants to try and cover up for him. And from the looks of things, their dad, who, despite the fact that he's a cop, is abusive towards them. Tommy's afraid of getting the belt, and Joel is there, no, I'm going to take it for you. Which, further, I guess, develops their relationship, considering that in the first episode of The Last of Us Season 1, they talk about how Tommy is dependent on Joel. And I guess by us having this scene, it shows more of that. So I thought that was very interesting. So then we see that we then see Joel's dad, who was actually played by the guy who played Lalo Salamanca from Better Call Saul. That was pretty damn awesome. He's such a phenomenal actor. So yeah, he comes in and you think there's a cliche where he takes the blame and then Joel gets the beating. But no, they do something interesting. Obviously, the dad doesn't believe Joel and he pops out a beer, and I thought, okay, this is it. This is what's going to happen. He's going to beat him. But then he goes on a little speech where he talks about how his dad used to beat him too. His dad beat him, and he beat him real good. Just for stealing candy, I believe it was. But then he tells Joel, I may be hard on you guys, but it isn't anywhere near what I had to deal with my own father. And then he talks about how... And then the line gets to me. It's when he says, one day when you have your own children, I hope you do better than me. I think something like that. I was like, wow. That line plays a huge part of the ending of this episode. We will get to that very soon. But what a way to open up this episode. Interesting way. I mean, I feel like, because obviously I think this is meant to be the final episode for Joel. And this was basically the perfect way to open it. This was fantastic. So yeah, we obviously now they do the intro, which by the way, they do bring back, the two figures in the intro. Of course, these last couple episodes, they've been only the one. As we're seeing the cordyceps things go up. In the intro, I thought that was interesting they did that. I was once again, because Joel and Ellie are together in this episode. So yeah, that was interesting. So we see that is actually Ellie's birthday. Obviously Joel is getting parts for the guitar as he wants to install it. Obviously he wants to put a mark on there that I guess is a symbol that Ellie likes a lot. So yeah, that was very interesting. And of course we see that Ellie comes back with Tommy, and from the looks of things, she burns herself. And you have such an emotional where Joel is worried for her. He's like, what did you do? He tells Tommy, how can you let this happen? All that, right? And then Ellie says that line, I want to wear short sleeves again. which of course obviously is because of her scar, which is the the bite mark, because she doesn't want anybody knowing that she's immune. So she does that so that, I guess, because of the burn, it'll be able to hide the scar. So I thought that was a very powerful moment. And of course, in the game, obviously, this is the guitar scene, right, where he plays the guitar for Ellie, and he says he's gonna teach her. And it was great. Like, that whole scene was nice. It was nice that we're getting some good moments between Ellie and Joel. Considering that for the last bunch of episodes, we've been seeing that they've been against each other. Like, clearly Ellie is resentful towards Joel over something, but although it turned out was not what you actually thought. And we'll get to that in a bit. Now, they do this thing where we're going like 1 year later, which of course they're like doing different, of course we're going past Ellie's birthdays. So like we get I believe this one was meant to be her 15th birthday, I think it is, for the way they started off. And then we get the 16th episode. The 16th birthday. In which then that's when we see the whole her going on the dinosaur, right? That was a great moment as she's like very happy. And then we go to the museum, the whole spaceship scene. Fantastic. All done really well. Now, it's funny because I actually don't know these moments from the game, because obviously, if you know, I've not played the full game. I tapped out after Joel's golfing trip. But these moments, so I don't know these moments, but these were amazing moments. Like, these were so powerful, right? Knowing that these two characters did enjoy these moments before the ultimate, realization for Ellie. So that was great. And then we go to Ellie's 17th birthday, in which then we see, Joel's bringing her up a birthday cake. And I like that they kind of utilized, the birthdays as kind of a way for Ellie's growth, which is obviously because not only is she's aging, but in general, her personality and how did she get to the point that she is now, which is really being a, teenage dickhead, like all teenagers are. But anyways, we see that, and like, first thing Joel walks in is that she believes, I guess he kind of thinks that Ellie's having sex with another woman, and then she's getting a tattoo and all that, right? Like, she's smoking weed. And then Joel is like practically acting like any other father. He's like, what the hell are you doing? Doing drugs? All that stuff? You're having sex with a 19-year-old girl, despite the fact of being 17, and all that. So all that was handled very well. And then, of course, Ellie wants to move into the, I guess, what was it, the garage, I think, or the shed? Oh, no, the shed it was. Sorry, the shed. Which is obvious. Of course, they talk about it in the first episode. Now we're actually seeing how that went down. And he lets her ultimately, but like he didn't want to at first, but like, I guess with the guilt he's feeling that he's basically lying to her every day, I guess he allows her. So there's that. And then we get to the 2 years later. Now we're fast forwarding 2 years later, and then Joel is taking her out on her first patrol. Which is like, okay, finally. On her first patrol, which is where they run into a Eugene that has been bitten. Which, of course, if you know the Eugene character, you know that is Gail's husband. Because obviously it was mentioned in episode 1 that, Joel killed Eugene. So finally we're seeing how that went down. And then the trailers do a bit of a misdirect here, actually, because in that scene, obviously, Joel is instinctively wanting to kill Eugene because of the fact that he's bit, and there's rules. Ellie insists no. She ends up doing that test on him that obviously was being used on her in episode 1 of season 1, which is the whole count from 1 to 10. And she goes like, okay, he has time. We could take him to Gale, and he could say his goodbye to his wife. Joel tells her, okay, go get the horses. And then he promises her that he'll take Eugene back to Jackson. In which then Joel walks Eugene over a lake. And, well, he's just about to shoot him. In which then they have this moment where it's like, he's there like, I want to see her, like, I want to hear her last words. I want to see her one last time. And then Joel says his line, if you love her, you can always see her. And then he goes like, and then all he had to say was, I see her. But now it's interesting what they do here. I didn't hear a gunshot in that scene. All you literally needed was he just says the line, they cut back to the water. They could just cut back to his face, his emotion, just said it all. And then he's just on the ground. So it's like, wow. Literally? That was very interesting, because any other show or movie would have just done bang. And then, well, there's that. But this episode did not do that. So that was very interesting. Ellie comes back to see, him dead, and she is pissed off, right? Like she just got lied to. So then they go back to Jackson, and Joel is basically telling Gale a lie that, he did it himself, but, that his last words were that he loves her. But Ellie goes like, no, that's not what happened. Which, I guess is going to be a controversial part in Ellie, that, because there are people saying that Ellie's not likable in this season, and to some degree, yes, but she's a fucking teenager, and no teenagers are likable. Let's be real. So we have that moment, and once Ellie spills the truth, Gale gets pissed off and just slaps Joel. And then that ultimately ends up being the lie. Like in the trailer, you see that Ellie says, "You lied to me," which we all assumed was that she finds out the truth about what I keep saying Tommy, but Joel does to the Fireflies, in which then we all assumed it was going to be that. But no, it was what he did to Eugene, and the fact that he lied to her about taking him back to Jackson, and that he was just going to kill him anyways. Okay, very interesting, and that's ultimately what drifts them apart for like months. Right, so then we fast forward to, the New Year's Eve scene, where obviously the whole that whole thing happened where the guy, starts being homophobic, and then Joel comes into the rescue. Right, which by the way, before that, we actually do get one last moment between Tommy and Joel, where Joel basically has to say goodnight to his nephew, and then Tommy goes like, I'll see you next year, which is like, oh my god. It's like, to think they probably don't see each other after that moment. And then how Marie basically apologizes to Joel about calling him a refugee, and then she basically goes like, no, you're family, and we would do anything for you. So I was like, okay, very cool. We got one last moment between Joel and his brother and his sister-in-law and his nephew. So that was nice. But then later we get to the Joel being in the house, and then obviously in the first episode, I thought we were gonna get the porch scene right then and there, but then Ellie just walks away. But then they extend that scene to which Ellie comes back, and she's there like telling him that she could have handled I can't remember what that asshole's name was, but whatever. She could have handled that situation, no problem. But here's the thing. This scene came out of the game. Obviously, that's meant to be the end of the game, where, obviously Ellie kind of forgives Joel in a way, or at least says that she'll try to forgive Joel. And I saw the scene, and I like the scene, I guess. It's emotional and everything. This is the scene I was talking about earlier. This is a damn tearjerker of a scene. My god. I'm sorry, if you do not cry during the scene, you are not human. Because unlike the game, obviously they're doing the dialogue from the game for sure, right? And then Joel does say the line, like, I know what I did, but if I had to do it again, I would. And then they have this moment where Ellie goes like, because you're selfish. And then Joel actually tells her that he loves her. In which then that just cracked me up. That was amazing. It honestly tells you just how much of a fucking fantastic actor Pedro Pascal really is. He is one of the best actors working today. And this scene proves that. Like, his performance, his tears coming down, you know, his as basically he's choking up saying every line. And of course, within that scene, they do kill two birds with one stone, and they do have Joel finally confessing to Ellie about what he did to the Fireflies, in which Ellie gets all pissed off and all that, right? But then he tells her just how much he loves her, and then that's when the line that when you have your own, I hope you do better than me. They finally brought that back in that one scene, and it was just perfect. Like, I was so glad they had that beginning scene with Joel and his father, and then now it repeats itself with Joel and Ellie, and it was fantastic. Amazing. Like that, I'll admit, I was almost about to cry. And I'll say this, I believe this scene was more emotional than the Bill and Frank episode. Yeah, I'll go as far as that. Like, the fact that you know that this was their last moment together and all that, and the fact that Joel does confess everything, and most importantly confesses his love to Ellie, it was all well done. The acting, and also Bella Ramsey, they did fucking amazing in that scene, right? I don't give a shit what anybody says about Bella Ramsey. They are fantastic. I'll keep saying that in every episode of this season. They are great as Ellie. They are perfectly cast, all right? Like, wow. So overall, I really liked this episode. I cannot wait to see what they do in the finale. If I had to say my flaw overall this season is the whole Ellie being too jokey. Like, they really should have toned that down, right? Like, a few jokes here and there wouldn't have been bad, but like, they made her too humorous for the fact that she is someone looking out for revenge. So I really hope from here on out, like especially this final episode, that we do not see any more jokes from Ellie, especially the "I'm gonna be a dad." I tried to look past it, but it was kind of cringe. I'll admit, and that's not Bella Ramsey's fault. All right, that's whoever wrote that line. That's who's at fault for that. But anyways, well, those are my thoughts for this episode. I'm really interested to see what they do next episode. I really hope they do more with Tommy, right? Like, they really need to do more with that character. I've been saying that. I love that character, Tommy. I want to see more of him. All right, we know that he's there in Seattle, but we need to see him in action. Like, come on. Let's have him go on his one-man army and start sniping those fools. Like, we need that. But anyways, thank you all for watching. I sure hope you like this video, and if you do, please hit that like button, and if you want to show your support and see more content, hit that subscribe button. Alright, I hope you all have a good night, and I'll definitely see you all for my review of the finale.